Hi again. Time to pick up some more tricks of things we can do with text and strings in Python. First, we're going to need some text to work with, so we'll just put that in here. Now, you already know that you can take a text like this, take a string and divide it into its component words by using the split command, like this. Now, what we're going to do is, instead of splitting the string into words, we're going to split it into sentences, and that turns out to be quite easy to do. All that we're going to do is, instead of just leaving the space between those parentheses blank, we're going to put in a delimiter. So we're going to add a character that we want Python to use as a marker point when it splits the string into pieces. So here we'll put a period in. Let's just get rid of all this print output so it's not cluttering things up on our page. And just to remind ourselves of what these variables are later so that we can keep track of things, we'll just put in some comments here. And of course, you already know that you can use the len command to find out the length of things. And since we know that B is a list of all the words in our string A, of course we can use len to find the number of words in A. Now, before we go on, just take a moment to make sure you know what syntax you would use if you wanted to count the number of sentences in A. Now, by this time, we have quite a few variables with fairly nondescript names like A, B, and C, and D. So I think I'm just going to change some of these to names that will remind us of what they actually are. And of course, if you change variable name at one point in your script, you're going to need to change that all the way through, or else it's not going to run. So length of B gave us the number of tokens in our string, but really we wanted to know the number of types. So let's see how we do that. And all we need to do is, instead of measuring the length of B, just measure the length of the set of B. So set is just a command that we can use to find all the unique items within a variable. Notice also that we could have done this in two steps, by first finding the set of B and defining that as a variable, and then in a second step taking the length of that new variable. But instead, we just embedded both steps into one line of code. Now, if you happen to be counting these by hand, you might be surprised with the number that the set command comes up with. I'm not going to do this for you here, but I would like you yourselves to use print and find out what exactly is inside that set, because that will give us some insight into why we get the number that we get. So now you've seen how to use Python to split a long string into sentences or into words, and you've seen how to find the number of types and the number of tokens. And I'd like you to try some of these things yourselves. In the next video, we will look at how to use Python to remove potentially unwanted things in our strings, like white spaces or punctuation marks.